Welcome back to Never in Reverse podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Axel, co-host the man, Doug Cox. Dude, your moves are nice. Are you the lawnmower dude? Whoop.
Shopping cart? Sprinkler? Oh, yeah.
Today, we're digging into why being busy feels productive and why it often isn't.
In a leadership role, you have to set standard. And as leaders, you have to hold people accountable in those positions. Otherwise, average performance will just be accepted, and then it'll be accepted across everybody.
If you let those people exist and rely on everyone else around them to do their job, it could get hard.
You got to stick to your guns. If you're going to create standards and SOPs and processes, you have to hold people accountable in every step of the process. Otherwise, you're going to have holes in it.
Everyone on a team should be best that we can possibly get with that position. Let's be the best.
Sad to say, but there are those individuals, you're not going to be able to motivate them. You just get comfortable in these bubbles. If you peek under the hood and you look at your processes and your process map and where the broken spokes are in the wheel, 90% of the time, it's that individual that just stays comfortable in that bubble, doesn't do more than they have to, and just does enough to get by. And that's where you've got to nip that thing. And it's like, you know what? I got to make an example. Because otherwise your culture, your environment is going to see what's acceptable.
Welcome back to Never in Reverse podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Axel, co-host the man, Doug Cox. What's up, Doug?
Not much, man. How are you?
Dude, your moves are nice. Guys, Doug used to dance in college. He's like, it was horrible, as you could tell.
Oh, buddy, I had rhythm. I used to
you the lawnmower dude? Whoop.
Shopping cart? Sprinkler? Oh, yeah.
That's a Southern Oregon dance right there. Like, who are these rednecks, dude?
Right.
You and I roll into the city in college, and these guys like, where did these guys come from?
Yeah, these guys right here. What is this? Got no rhythm. Yeah.
Man, you guys got a big trip coming up with your family too, huh?
In June. Yeah. We're going to take a good road trip. Hopefully I survive it,
Oh, buddy.
4 kids. My wife is the worst co-pilot in a road trip on the planet. She is the absolute worst. Are we there yet? I'm bored. We need some snacks.
Oh boy.
I'm going.
You got 5 of them then?
The kids are good. They're fine. My wife is the worst. When you're,
buddy.
In the car going a couple hours, it's like, oh my gosh.
Can I go to the bathroom? We just went 5 minutes ago.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
Quit drinking water. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I'm car sick.
Oh yeah. Yep.
My wife gets car sick every single time we get in the car. Today's topic, everyone, viewers, just why the average performance is now a business killer. This is going to be interesting. Doug over there on the West Coast, we have the metrics on the performance scale have been going down. We're like, man, why is this dude like, it's like a boat anchor? Like,
I set the standard. I set the standard.
It's like, teeter-totter. It was like we were going like this, and then Doug came on and that thing flopped over. I was like, man, what is happening here?
Yeah, bad hire.
Oh, I've had those before.
We all have.
But
yeah.
The illusion, man. I think the biggest thing is bringing over just why does like that mediocre performance? Why does it make people feel safe? And I can understand to an extent why when you're leading and if you're growing, especially, man, you peel Band-Aids off of halfway done. You got a guy that's performing 50% and you're growing. It is so, depending on the size, I'm sure the Fortune 50, they can hide everywhere, but performance metrics are smaller, right? Because it's not the noise is not so loud. It's more of a pinpointed project or job that these people are specifically defined for. In a SMB, that person could be doing just enough to hold that part up, and they almost get this layer of safety.
Yeah, they do enough to shine, right? But it also, a lot of that is culture. It's leadership. It's how engaged leadership is with these employees to peek under the hood, accountability, and the sad part is what you permit, you promote. So if you've got a team with one individual and you allow these performance metrics to, that are medium minuscule in comparison to everybody else, eventually, if you don't try to raise that one individual that's behind, you're going to watch the others. Because what you permit, you promote. You got to be careful. You could see your great performers, the ones that get through their daily tasks, that are energized, bring questions, ambition. Eventually they'll see, Jenny or Tommy over there getting away with things. And all of a sudden you'll see these performances sink to a low level, or it can help rise if you promote it in the right way. But you've got to be delicate in that of where you hold your metrics and your key performance indicators and things.
That's hard though, man. I mean, just think about like the stuff that we've gone through and the importance of people, and if they're performing at hack, it's like the the stopping of that and reshuffling the deck to get that next person up into the same
Same level.
understanding, or just something to get it almost creates this safety dynamic that they don't have the control, but it's like, man, it's like, I don't want to deal with this right now. I got bigger things to deal with. I've had those moments, right? Like I had one in the near past, and I just was kind of see if I could support the solution. And the reality of it is that it wasn't going to ever change. And I let that person walk themselves out. They made the decision, but I want to look at the best in those people, because I know there's people are so talented, but you got to also be realistic against like expectations and performance metrics, and not letting those be
personality
players.
type there to take the willingness to want to be better, to get better,
Yeah. And they, it's like the business and loyalty that, real contribution. You've been in these instances where people are like, they're not contributing anything, but they're really good at the social side of the like, I don't want to say the term, but they're kissing A on here, right? They're like that guy that's just, they can work the social angles. You and I have talked about this in the past, of people that we've known that are really good at that, but the output is near non-existent. But they can sure buffer those edges to make it seem like there's a lot going on.
Yep. Yep.
And typically that typically happens in middle layer management, and you can hide behind the results pretty easily there.
It's easy to make excuses.
Yeah, and you can buffer if your team's performing and you're not. It's easy to hide, right?
No, and like I remember the first time I went into, a real managerial role as a sales manager in an organization, and I had 6 sales reps on our sales team. And when I fell into that position, the sales group was so fragmented. There wasn't any expectations. There wasn't, any performance metrics, so I created this. And then all of a sudden you watch the rats jump off the ship or make excuses.
Yep.
And we did it weekly. I wanted weekly reports of, sales activities. And I had...
Can I start doing that?
You don't need to. I mean, it's easy. You just look at it. No. But I mean, it's, and we're not all perfect. I mean, right. We have good characteristics, even as salespeople. We love to build relationships. We're great personalities, great communicators. And there's other areas where we may not have strengths. And where do you see that in a leadership role? Where do you see somebody's strengths and their weaknesses? And then how do you build up those weaknesses, within the team? And I mean, it takes a willing person to want to change, to want to get better, but you have to set standards, and as leaders, you have to hold people accountable in those positions. Otherwise, average performance will just be accepted, and then it'll be accepted across everybody.
And I think that's when it gets dangerous, right? Like when you have that average performer, and the leadership is maybe the strategy, they're implementing something that's bigger than that moment, or we have some big projects going on that I'm in it, but it can still get distracting, right? Like, I got to get this across the finish line. I don't really want to focus on this right now. I know it's an issue, or I know that
tasks
person's an
are like,
issue, but
gosh, dang it, I don't.
oh my gosh,
it's like I gotta tackle it. I gotta do it.
yeah. Or that person's in that role, and if you take them out, you can't get that done. So it's like the mediocre tax is just acceptable, right?
Yeah.
I think that's when it becomes dangerous, especially if that starts to bleed into the other people, where people are like, man, if that guy doesn't have to do it, I don't have to do it.
Culturally accepted.
Oh yeah. I mean, and you know me, man, I'm like, if I sense that, I'm going to break it right there. Like, nah, let's peek under the hood. Let's figure it out. Like, show me, don't tell me, let me see it. Let's see where we're going. Show me that. And not to micromanage people, but the flinch test. I always think that flinch test out of nowhere is like a beautiful scenario to catch, because anyone that's prepared or has been prepared for a long time is welcoming any. I feel like you can come peek behind the hood all you want with
Right,
me. I don't.
right.
I mean, that those flinch tests are the defining moments. Like, hey, maybe we're not in alignment, like I'm being told, or I think that mediocrity tax, so that lost speed, the lost innovation, the talent issues that you can create on a culture. Like, if you let those people exist and rot and rely on everyone else around them to do their job, that's when it could get hard. I think there's a massive tax that has a long lasting. It could be a years to get out of that
Well, it's hard to
because
once it's culturally accepted, in an organization, it's hard, and especially if you've been in a leadership role to now all of a sudden we're going to turn the light switch on and we're going to make changes. It's like, oh wait, now we're doing this. Why? It's going to be met with resistance.
yeah, and you have
Versus
yeah.
you gotta if you gotta stick to your guns. If you're going to create standards and SOPs and processes, you have to hold people accountable in every step of the process of what. Otherwise, you're going to have holes in it. It's going to leak.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you're gonna get some high performers disengaging. They're gonna get resentful. They're gonna be like, "Man, I had that happen to
I'm
me in my
busting my
first job.
butt. And
I had that on my first job, man.
yeah,
I watched all these, and the leadership was like, well, yeah, but what about?" And they just ask me for more. I go, dude, look at man. I know what our base salaries are. They're peanuts. We're all on the same thing. I'm carrying the workload. You're allowing this mediocre because it's just enough. I'm not. I'm not gonna carry the weight. I'm not doing that. You know. And
but
I
good
got then it.
leaders will they'll use, and this is I had a great sales manager early on in my career, right out of college, and he would recognize talent amongst the entire team.
Yep.
And he would ask, and not to toot my own horn, but I was the leading sales rep in this
Here we
organization 4
go.
years
Well, there's only
consecutively.
one sales guys there, right?
No, there was 7 or 8 of us. But he used to ask, in front of the team in our sales meetings, Doug, what are you doing that is helping you in the market or in the space?
Yep.
And then so people could take nuggets, and then he'd go around to other people and I'd listen to, of kind of their approach and things, because good salespeople have tactics. There's also some lazy, characteristics in there as well too, amongst some salespeople. But the point being is it was a sharing of knowledge to lift everybody, right?
Yep.
And that was his point. He was trying to get everybody to perform at a high level in sharing, of different sales approaches or different tactics or, different ideals that people could grab onto to help lift everyone rather than just beat Tommy down, or not even recognize Jennifer or Tommy over here. That's, they haven't hit quota in 6 months, but
Yeah.
they're still
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, and that mediocre tax, sometimes I think it's like I think everyone on a team should be the best best that we can possibly get with that position, right? Like I think if you just let like a position define the culture, like, oh, she's just an admin. I'm like, be the best admin. If
Right.
you're gonna be like
Right.
if you're gonna do something, let's be the best. Let's be the
Right.
best in the space. And if we're not, let's get the tools and understanding on how we move that direction. My biggest pet peeve is when people sit in the status, like, that, man. I am not good. But like, let's say you take these cultures, you let someone come in, you get a bad egg, they come in, they infiltrate this, it starts creating that taxation of comfort, right? Now you got to rebuild that. And what does
Exactly.
it look like to rebuild that tax? That's a heavy lift. I think it's probably, you and I talked about this in some of your previous roles, is like just the burden to start over and retrain that is no longer acceptable. It's man, it
It's
it
sad,
is
but
harder.
sometimes
It's
you got to
harder.
make examples of somebody, right? In firing or, probationary period. I mean, it's sad to say, but there are those individuals, you're not going to be able to motivate them. You're not going to be able to, get them to buy in some, they just get comfortable in these bubbles. Well, if you watch, if you peek under the hood and you look at your processes and your process map and where the broken spokes are in the wheel, 90% of the time it's that individual that just stays comfortable in that bubble, doesn't
Yep.
do more than they have to, and just
Yep.
does enough to get by. And that's where you've got to nip that thing. And it's like, you know what? I got the sacrificial lamb,
You have
and
to.
I got to make an example, because otherwise your culture, your environment
Uh,
is going to see what's acceptable.
and I think it's important just to, set the bar high. Like, I'd rather shoot high than go and fail than going low and beating it. Like, I would put the bar high every single time. Like, and I think we need to, like, honestly, in our culture, I think we need to do a better job of overall planning. I think we've been working on so many things. I think it'd be nice to get some structure. Like, what does it look like for us and where we're going as a unit? I think we all know where we're going, but it's still like we're not like perfectly
It's easy
laid
to
out.
lose
Like,
sight of it. It's
yeah,
easy to
I try
lose
to
sight of
remind you
it.
guys, I try to remind people so they can interconnect why we're doing what we're doing, but that's a lot of heavy lifting that I gotta keep redefining, like, "Hey, let's all agree to figure out a route," and I'm hoping that probably next year, this year, we can kinda get it organized in that way so that everyone is pulling on the same rope. I don't get in the way. I'm guilty of that, right? Like, I can create a tax on being mediocre because we're doing too much at once. I can, so then people just start doing it. You're doing all these tasks, and I would say that we're doing it, but we're doing it mediocre because we're doing too many of them. So that there's also that tax, right? That's being mediocre because
But
we're
you and I talk
extending.
about this all the time. It's like, knock one domino down at a time. Don't look at the entire table of dominoes. Let's knock one down at a time and work to the next, and you got to live in those micro elements sometimes for the big picture, and because we talk about ideas and this and that, and it's like, we always go back. Let's tackle this first. Let's tackle this, and then it'll evolve into this. But
a
you
hundred percent.
can't look at things such big picture. Just it's task by task, day by day.
So I guess overall in the redesign, Doug, it's like, man, don't let that cultural element, if it bleeds in, like, there's waves in business. Like, I've gone through some mediocre tax. I think it's like, embrace it, see it for what it's worth, and then come up with a game plan to make sure you have the right people in the right seat to help redefine that and get everyone on board, whether you have to reshuffle the deck on what seat they're in. Are they the right person for elevating that game? Because people get excited when there's a goal or where we're moving in the right
Right,
direction, where
right.
it's not like minutia work, which we all do it, right? I think we all have to kind of go through that muddy water to get to the clean water, right? Like, you got to go through these hard times, and every task isn't going to be perfect. And I do things all the time. I was telling my wife, I'm like, man, doing things right now that there's things I just don't enjoy. But the hope is, and I've shared this with you, is that we can do things that we really enjoy at some stage, right? Like, we're
Yeah,
going
get
to.
through those points. Let's get through the growing pains. Let's get through the stressful times. The grass will be greener on the other side. Yeah.
So
I
in
used
closing,
to. Oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead. No, 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 no.
I was just gonna say, this, so we can wrap this episode up in closing, but have you ever been in something where it was just, I know that you probably have, like, in an organization was just good enough,
Mm-hmm.
and the leadership was cool with it because it wasn't loud. That person didn't cry. She didn't cry wolf, or he didn't cry. Like, they just sat there. It's cool, just good enough.
Ultimately, it led me here. The last company I was working for, and tried to make a lot of cultural changes. I started off as a sales manager there and then went into the general manager's role. So I had, a lot of responsibility across many departments, and trying to change a culture of, it was just good enough, it was acceptable, versus I wanted to see, I was incentivized for growth, right? So
Yeah.
of course, I put goals and targets where I wanted us to be, because I have to hold myself to a high standard, because ultimately, if we're not growing, where's the finger pointing at? Back at the general
You
manager, right? Yeah,
hundred
exactly.
percent.
So it was a lot of restructuring. It was a lot of rebuilding of processes, finding bottlenecks, and there were some really difficult times with employees and trying to get them to accept the change,
Yeah.
because the culture before was, we're good and comfy right here.
Well, I think that's right. So, viewers, just a couple questions to really consider. What is the real cost of keeping one underperformer on for another 12 months? That's question one. Are your performance standards written down or assumed? If your top performer left tomorrow, would they say the bar was high enough for their role? I think that's a big one. I think
Oh,
Doug and
those
I
are,
can
yeah,
relate to that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And what would you change if you treated the average performance as a liability, not as a personality trait? I think those are some things that we can all consider. I'm guilty of it, right? Like, I don't have any,
100%.
I know in my heart, but that's not necessarily true because that's imagination thinking that we are moving the needle at the rate that's required. So just always consider that stuff. If you're going through a growth period where it's like, man, if I pull that person out of that seat right now, I can't handle that weight. I can relate. Like, I get it. That struggle that's a real struggle. You and I've talked about this, Doug. It's like, man, just where we're heading to create the redundancy and making sure that we have that awareness. We're not just going around with our blindfolds on, right? Like,
Right.
let's create
Right.
some redundancy where we can cross-train people and they get it and we're connected.
Exactly.
Not to step on anyone, just to enhance everyone, right?
Well, no, because if something were to happen, right, then you know that somebody
exactly.
else can grab the torch and run with it, and that's to keep the organization moving forward.
So stay light on your heels, be nimble.
Light on your
Thank you.
heels? I've never heard that. Light on your toes, maybe?
Light on your toes.
Light on your toes. Yeah.
Light on your heels.
toes. Light on your heels.
I walk on my heels. No, thanks for joining us, guys, on this episode of Never Reverse. Episode 46, Doug. We're there, buddy. It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Long journey so far, but you guys can like,
Leave us
subscribe,
some
find us
feedback.
feedback, like, subscribe. We want comments. We want to learn from you guys, leadership, anything, everything in between. YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, X. If you prefer audio, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music. Until episode 47, guys, I'm your host, Jeremy Axel, co-host, the man, Doug Cox. We appreciate you guys, and have a great day. Take care.
Thanks.